duel at the U.S. Nationals. The pairing for the semifinal round in pro stock will put Glidden against Don Beverly. Glidden will have his choice of lanes, and Larry Morgan will take on Bruce Allen. Allen will have that all-important lane choice at the U.S. Nationals. In the meantime, Dick LaHaye watches as they push his Top Fuel dragster through a giant crowd here back in the pits at the U.S. National. Everybody's welcome, and they enjoy their time with the racers. But coming up very shortly, it will be the semifinal round in Top Fuel as LaHaye is ready to face.
In most sporting events, nothing crude about the Joe Amato cheering section's artwork, and it is time for what they call the Dick and Joe show. Joe Amato against Dick LaHaye. Here is Jerry Amato guiding Joe back. What's going through his mind right now, Don?
Well, I think the main thing in his mind, he's racing the biggest race in the world, and his car has not performed on race day like it should. He is wondering, has Tim Richards got that engine to come around?
And Dick LaHaye, he has accomplished 4-second performance here this weekend. The biggest problem there is you can't get greedy because the conditions aren't the same now.
That's right, and on a 4-second car, the least mistake, and you're up in smoke.
All right, the delicate staging process begins, nudging those very small front wheels, pioneered by Don Garlits, incidentally, into the electronic beams. Blast the stage. The way he likes it is LaHaye. It's Amato away first. Amato loses traction. Dick LaHaye, oh my, one of the most impressive runs of the day. 5.01 elapsed time, 280 miles per hour. Amato, too much power down.
They came here to win this race. Generally, they're very conservative, but they are tired of being bridesmaids.
Well, Eddie Hill rolls out as he is set at the starting line to take on this man, Darrell Gwynn, who is really charging his way up through the ranks. The onboard camera, Doug Parr and Mike Sherrill doing a magnificent job producing these pictures this weekend. Let's go to the far end as he looks down to his son, Darrell Gwynn, strapped into his Top Fuel dragster, ready to take on Eddie Hill.
You have raced Darrell Gwynn in, 2 U.S. Nationals Top Fuel Championship battles. You beat him both times. What's the difference in him now and then, Don Garlits?
Well, I think he's a lot more experienced. He's a lot calmer. He doesn't get rattled so much. He's a much better Top Fuel racer today than he was in those days.
And there's Eddie Hill with a car he calls an antique. There's nothing antique about the elapsed times that he has accomplished with this machine. Let's go for a ride. And what a race it was. Eddie Hill off the mark first, almost pulled it out, but it's Darrell Gwynn at 5.04 to Hill's 5.09 elapsed time. Typical. Let's base on and really, go after a drag racing story. Really dig down deep. When I get there always seems to be somebody in one of these shirts. National Dragster, NHRA's weekly newspaper. This is the editor, Phil Burgess. This isn't fair. There's only one of me. How many of you are there?
Well, covering this U.S. National, Steve, we got 5 reporters and 8 photographers, so we get a good chance to get around.
And it seems like you finish the race, get home, and National Dragster's already in your mailbox if you're an NHRA member. How do you do it so fast?
Well, we take the first plane out of here. 2 days later, we're done with the coverage. It's at the printer and on the way to the readers.
Well, I'm sure I'll see you again before the day's over.
I'll be there first, Steve.
I don't know about that. You really should be a member of NHRA if you want to be inside drag racing. The prime benefit is National Dragster, 48 weeks a year. And you can join at a very special price. And if you do it right now, they'll even throw in a copy of the multi-award-winning home video, Decade of Thrill. So call this number and become part of the world's largest motorsport sanctioning body.
They even put out some special editions of National Dragster here at the U.S. Nationals on an almost daily basis. On the line, the semifinals in Funny Car. The near lane is Bruce Larson. The far side is Chuck Etchells as Buster Couch moves both cars into position.
Chuck Etchells has absolutely nothing going for him in this contest, Don Garlits, except maybe luck on his side.
And sometimes luck is better than speed.
Well, I've heard that said. They leave right together. Etchells just doesn't have the power to run with Bruce Larson. Few do, thanks to that man, Maynard Yanks. It is Larson heading for the finals at 5:33.273. He is having a tremendous day.
Over and the crew have the engine fired in Don Prudhomme's car. The top goes down, and he is ready to face the fastest man thus far in the competition, Mike Dunn.
But speed makes no difference now. It's ET that counts, and Prudhomme is definitely in control of that situation.
So Don Prudhomme rolls up for his burnout. A man who has here announced that he will end his funny car career this year and move over to the top fuel ranks. That announcement was also made here by Kenny Bernstein. So two of the biggest names in the sport, Prudhomme and Bernstein, moving up to top fuel for the 1990 NHRA season. Let's go down to the far end. Here again is Steve Evans.
There may be some concern on the part of Bruce Larson. Before the body is lowered down, you can see there is oil all over the inside of this car. The first time we have seen that in a long, long time. Bruce, what's the deal?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out. It didn't feel bad.
533, it didn't run bad.
Yeah. So we'll be ready for the next round, even if we have to put an engine in it.
You heard it here. They've got plenty of bullets.
Well, if in fact they do have to change that engine, that's going to mean a lot of work for Maynard Jinks and the crew.
And the other half of the semis, two drivers who have tasted victory here at the U.S. Nationals in the past, Mike Dunn and Don Prudhomme. They are pre-staged. Everybody knows that Prudhomme likes to stage last, and they usually let him do it so they don't build too much heat. Mike Dunn is not moving, Don Garlits.
Well, he evidently came into this round plenty cool, so he decided he's going to stage last.
The snake continues to sit there. Finally, Dunn breaks the snake. He moves in. Dunn doesn't hesitate. And we've got to start. Prudhomme, with his concentration broken a little bit, is laid off the mark. Oh, but he's got the power to make up for it. A breathless crew back in the starting line as Don runs a 5.27, 271 mile per hour charge to Mike Dunn's game and smart 5.39.
Dunn had absolutely nothing to lose with Prudhomme's advantage in the elapsed time department, so he just waited till the last. Well, it paid off to a full 600 starting line advantage, and sometimes that will win a race for you. Dunn had hoped that Prudhomme would make some kind of mistake, and he did. He was late, but he still had the power to win at the top.
So it'll be a terrific final in funny car. Bruce Larson faces Don Prudhomme. Prudhomme has the lane choice. He's with Steve.
Don, I can't help but ask why you would sit pre-stage that long when you really had everything to lose and what to gain from it.
Well, they're screwing with me is what they're doing because our car's running good. They just don't want to race heads up. You know, they want to make me go in there and wait and cook my engine or whatever they can do to beat you. You know, no big deal. Still smoked him off.
Indeed, you did a 5.27.
Yes, thank you very much.
Where in the rule book does it say Prudhomme is supposed to stage second?
Got his own copy, Don. Bob Glidden back in the staging lanes with his grandson, Brandon. All the family is here from nearby Whiteland. Will be
absolutely perfect for Bruce Larson until now. This is the engine he won with in the semifinals. We saw no smoke, we saw no fire. But apparently, just as he shut the engine off, it broke a connecting rod internally, the worst thing that can happen to one of these engines. So, the clutch is coming off that engine. They already have taken the blower and injector off, and there is the new bullet, as they like to call them, that'll go in the frame rails of this race car. But it needs an awful lot of attention. Oftentimes, the spare motors have cylinder heads already on them and a lot of other components. They're really building a short block here. We're building from a short block, and it appears that they'll have time to get that accomplished if the crew is really on their game.
even some of Amato's crew over to help swap that motor. Now, of course, an engine swap is in the contingency, but it is certainly something that they do not want to do if they don't have to. Up on the starting line, Bob Glidden, ready to face Don Beverly, on board with Glidden.
Can Glidden here in the semifinals make his 13th consecutive final round at the U.S. Nationals? Don Beverly hopes to have something to say about that in the Oldsmobile. Oldsmobile against the sleek Ford Probe. There is no Pro Stocker more aerodynamic than the machine we're riding with. Glidden pulls high gear.
But Steve, here on the starting line, it's a big red light in Beverly's lane. Glidden has the win.
And he has it at 7.39 seconds, 187 miles per hour. To Beverly's foul starting 7.52. I wonder if Bob thought maybe he was beaten there.
Probably did until he looked down the strip and saw his scoreboard came on for the win, but he would still make a hard run for lane choice in the final.
So Bob Glidden moves into the final round. And who will he face? Will it be this man, Larry Morgan, who has the lane choice over his opposition, Bruce Allen?
And hopes to get a shot at this man, Bob Glidden, who when he came around the turn was already celebrating, Paul. So he did indeed know that he had won that matchup with Beverly.
And he could be on his way to history, a 75th Nationals victory. But who will he face? Bruce Allen or Larry Morgan? That's Allen on the far side. Morgan inches up on the near side. Pro stock, the semifinal round.
The engines will come up to about 6,000 RPM and rev to about 8,000 RPM down the racetrack. Morgan is in. They leave identically. The same reaction time for both drivers. What a pro stock contest. Oh, by a whisker, it's Oldsmobile in the near lane. Larry Morgan continues his domination of the U.S. Nationals at 740 to a 743.
Larry Morgan has been taking a starting line advantage on almost every round that he has run at the U.S. Nationals. And add that to the fact that the car has had excellent EPs, makes him one of the top contenders here this year. And Allen is one of the tough ones that he had to take out to get into that final round.
And you couldn't ask for a nicer drag race. Look at that margin of victory. But Morgan goes into the final round where he will face Bob Glidden. But Bob Glidden has that all-important lane choice. Here's Steve.
You know, in the not-too-distant future, you have an incredible task. You have to face a man named Bob Glidden, who's been in this final round the last 12 years.
Well, I'll tell you what, I hope this is his last one. I mean, I know he's been in the final. I hope it's the last one he wins. I hope I can change that.
Well, you gave him lane choice now. You're 40, his 39.
That's okay. I rolled the lights pretty bad. I feel I can get down either lane. I think both lanes are equal right now. I'm just real happy to be in the final.
Racing Glidden doesn't affect you psychologically at all, knowing that it's him.
It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I'd like to race him. When he raced me and homie beat me, he's in trouble now.
Here's a man out to stop Bob Glidden from winning that 75th.
That's the kind of confidence that it takes to win a drag race.
In the meantime, back in the funny car pits, they continue the engine change on Bruce Larson's car. Maynard Youngst is there. Also their teammate, Tim Richards from Amato's team, over making sure that everything